Dear friends, good morning. We are in the subject of human resource management for BBA second year, third semester students. We are in the first unit of human resource management. In first unit, till now, we have completed functions of human resource management, managerial and operative role of human resource management, personal management and human resource management. The difference, the similarity we have observed, and in our previous class we have discussed the strategic management approach. Now in the first unit, this is the last topic, the role of globalization in HR policy and practice, means in human resource policy and practice. So with this topic, first unit will be completed. So these are the topics that we have discussed: process of human resource management, evaluation, strategic HRM. All these topics we have discussed. 7 steps are there in strategic human resource management. What are they? Yesterday we discussed in our previous class. Challenges to strategic HRM also we discussed. Trends of the technology revolution also we discussed. So managing people is not easy. Under the perspective of strategic human resource management also we discussed. Now coming to, in our previous class I introduced the concept of LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization. Just briefly I will repeat the concept. Liberalization means easing the way a business takes place, means making it easy for the entrepreneur to establish industry, to establish an enterprise, to establish a business organization. Privatization means giving private people also chance to enter into the market. Take the case of insurance sector. Earlier it was only public sector, life insurance corporation only, but now even many private insurance companies are there in the market. Similarly, schools, private schools are there, public schools are there. Globalization, any individual or organization cutting across country borders can come to India, provided with valid documents, with valid proofs. They can establish industries, they can establish business entities here. So this is the difference between liberalization, privatization and globalization. This refers to entire world, this refers to government and private. This refers to making it easy. Liberalizing means making it easy for the persons who want to establish industries, giving them licenses quite easily. So coming to globalization, our focus is on, in LPG our focus is on globalization. So as I have already mentioned, globalization implies, in globalization itself the word globe is there. Okay, when you studied social studies you must have come across globe. Okay, globe is a replica of earth, is a model of earth. How many countries are there, how many continents are there, where are the oceans located, likewise geographical features will be there in a globe. So globalization, as the term itself implies, countries' borders are removed for the purpose of doing business. So doing business in more than one country is what you simply mean by saying globalization. Operating and expanding the business throughout the world. You take the case of now we are using, let us take for example Zoom platform for our online classes. So that company belongs to some other country, whereas they are able to sell the products in our country. We are utilizing it. That is an example of globalization. You are using mobile phones, I am using mobile phone. That is not actually manufactured in our country, that is manufactured elsewhere, but we are able to use it. So that is globalization. These are examples. We purchase vehicles, where majority of them are being manufactured in foreign country, but we are using it. So that is globalization. So establishing manufacturing and distribution facilities in any part of the world, that is what you mean by saying globalization. So there are no country restrictions, country borders with reference to doing the business. So establishing manufacturing and distribution facilities across the world, that is what you mean by saying globalization. So we will have global organizational structures, organizational culture and strategies. In our previous classes, we discussed what strategy means. It's a long-term plan, long-term technique to see to it that our organizational objectives, goals are achieved. Organizational structures, global organizational structures. See, before globalization, only in one country, office used to be there. But now, head office is in one country, whereas branches are situated across the world. So these structures will become globalized and organizational culture will be different. Some of the employees will be Indians, some of them will be Americans, some of them will be Koreans, some of them will be Chinese, some of them will be Japanese, some of them will be Australians, some of them will be Africans, some of them will come from Europe countries. So culture will be different, organizational culture will be different, as individual cultures are bound to be different. Okay, this is what you mean by saying globalization. Okay, this is the concept of globalization. So coming to globalization, the impact it has on human resources. You can see globalization of human capital. See, capital does not necessarily imply that only physical cash. Human beings are also treated as capital because, see, in money if you invest, what will happen? Interest will come. Your money you are investing somewhere, you will receive interest. Whereas if you invest in human beings, they will work more faithfully. They will render service more faithfully, and the returns will be more on human beings. Because they have soul, they have heart. So globalization of human capital will become, means you recruit employees across the globe. Your employees are not going to belong to only a particular country. And corporate and cultural differences will come into play. As I told, Indian culture will be different from Western culture. Japanese culture will be different from Indian culture. So cultural differences will be there. And corporate and cultural differences do exist. Employment and tax laws. See, employment laws will be different. In one country, different tax laws will be there. Another country, different tax laws will be there. You take the case of our country only, every year, after financial year is over, tax law will change. Every year, government will review and will try to bring modifications in the tax laws. So if you take the case of only a single country, every year we are changing rules and regulations pertaining to tax. And when we are speaking about globalization, in different countries, different tax laws, different employment laws will be there. You have to face that challenge. And the long distance communication challenge. See, sometimes online class is to be conducted means, sometimes network problem is going to be there, sometimes other problem is there, sometimes from the sender communication challenge exists, sometimes from the receiver's point of view communication challenge exists. So different challenges do exist. We have to face those challenges. Okay. Managing expatriates is a big problem with reference to globalization. Who are expatriates? Expatriates means those who live in some other country for employment opportunity or for any other purpose. Okay, so managing them is going to be providing them shelter, providing them with proper food and facilities so that they are attracted to our country. That is a big challenge. And managing outsourcing employees. Now you can see several jobs are there based on outsourcing purpose, outsourcing mode rather. So managing those outsourcing employees is very difficult. Outsourcing means just you assign your job, your task to some other body, some other person by paying him or her certain money. See, suppose, let us take for example, I have to take your HRM class every day, but due to some other reason I am unable to take class for 5 months. You will not tolerate it, you will not agree with me. You will fight with the principal, sir. How our classes are not being conducted for HRM subject. So what I will do? On behalf of me, I will employ some other person. If principal sir permits, if higher officials permit. And then on behalf of me, he or she will teach you. That is outsourcing. Our job, some other person will do for payment. We will give them payment. So managing those kinds of employees, those types of employees is difficult. Managing virtual employees means online. Now this is, now whatever we are in virtual classroom. They will not come to you. You are not coming to the college. I am not going to the college. I am not teaching in the college. I am in virtual classroom. Online mode I am teaching. So managing those kinds of employees is also very, very difficult. And taking the responsibility with reference to corporate social responsibility is also a challenge in globalization. Means earlier we have discussed tax laws will be different, employee laws will be different, employment laws will be different. Similarly, in each country, different corporate social responsibility acts will be there. Means what is corporate social responsibility? Let us take for example, if you go to Singareni Collieries in Kottagudem, see totally greenery you will find in the offices of the corporation or company. If you go to NTPC, there is entirely greenery you can observe because the government will impose certain conditions on the organization. If you are polluting the environment, in return you should give something to the environment. So as a corporate social responsibility dimension, they have to donate certain amount to the society. So that is why they will donate bus shelters, they will take up mass plantation programs, tree plantation programs. So like that is corporate social responsibility. Out of their profits, compulsorily certain amount should be spent on society. That is what you mean by saying corporate social responsibility. Whatever profit that they earn, they have to give some amount of the profit earned to the society back. So that is the restriction imposed, that is the fundamental rule applicable in certain societies. So when you are taking up globalization, when you are involved in globalization, you have to understand the nature of corporate social responsibility in the country in which you are going to work. So that is a big challenge with reference to globalization. In coping with emerging technologies and quality measures, every day technology is being updated and you have to cope up, you have to face the challenge of emerging technologies and you have to ensure that you maintain quality measures, quality standards, and changing perspective from subordinates to business partners. So earlier I have discussed with you. Now in the concept of, in the introduction of human resources concept I mentioned you. Earlier, during earlier period of times, employees used to be treated separately from the bosses. But now the concept of subordinates is slowly erasing out. Now they are being treated as business partners because if employees are satisfied, if they are being treated as just like your partner, their job satisfaction will increase. Ultimately, it will lead to increase in production. If they are satisfied, an employee, if he or she is satisfied, he will work more efficiently and effectively. Ultimately, it will benefit the organization. Evolution of more part-time and temporary work. You can see, if you take up any newspaper, if you refer any newspaper, daily advertisements are flooding newspapers. If you work, part-time opportunities are there, temporary workers are required, especially among women, housewives, okay, and the elders and the students. There are many opportunities, and the globalization is providing them with plenty of opportunities, and moreover, work from home only. In their house only they can sit, in their home only they can sit, and they can earn money. That is on a part-time basis. Daily you have to work only for a few hours, and you have to work for the organization. So these are the various things associated, various dimensions that are associated with globalization. And coming to the role of globalization in HR policy and practice. See, there are various approaches as to how you treat the employees of different countries. Suppose head office is in, let us take for example, head office is in Australia. This is the original place of the boss, the owner of the business organization. Okay. Now, these are the various countries. Let us take for example, Japan, Korea, India, South Africa, Brazil, Italy, Canada, Russia. The company, the organization which is having its headquarter in Australia is operating in these countries, this many countries. Let us take for example. This is what you mean by saying globalization. Across the globe they are operating, across the continents they are operating. Australia is there, Europe is there, Asia is there, Africa is there, South America, North America, all continents I have covered, yes, except Antarctica. You know why? Okay, it is a snowy continent. So that is why I eliminated that continent. Now, how you treat the employees who are working across the globe? So there are four main approaches. So ethnocentric approach. Ethnocentric approach means this is parent country. For this organization, this is parent, just like father, he is the boss. And these are all host countries. Parent country, host country. In globalization, you will find these terms. Parent country is the original owner of this company is in Australia, whereas they are operating in all these countries. These are all termed as host country. Parent country, host country. Now you see, in if you are adopting ethnocentric approach, what it implies is key positions only your countrymen will occupy. Key position means important positions. In all important positions, only Australians will be there. That if you adopt ethnocentric approach, the parent country nationals are sent for top and middle level management positions. See, in an organization, this is top level management. This is board of directors, BOD, board of directors. They are at the top level, and middle level, these are managers, various managers. These are middle level employees, and under them various employees are there. Okay, these are various lower level employees. See, in all these top two level employees, only parent country nationals will be there. That is ethnocentric approach. How you treat the employees in all important positions. The parent country employees will be there. Parent country employees are going to be there. That is ethnocentric approach. Okay. Now coming to polycentric philosophy, this is an approach. Okay. Now see, from this stage, polycentric approach will be gradually adopted by the organizations. Means during the early stages, host country nationals fill middle and lower level positions in management. Means see, host country employees will be there in middle level and lower level of the organization. As the time progresses, they will be promoted. Lower level will be promoted to higher level, and ultimately, after time passes, after progression of time is there, then they will be going to take up key positions in the organization. But initially, they will not be given any key positions. If the organization adopts polycentric approach, polycentric philosophy, initially middle level and lower level positions will be given to host country employees, and gradually they will be promoted to higher levels. That is what we mean by saying polycentric philosophy. Okay. Now coming to third one, geocentric approach. See, in geocentric approach, geographic, in geocentric, geography is there. So here, even though people of different nationalities work in the organization, but talent is recognized, and nationality is not at all an issue. Even a foreigner can go to the topmost position in the organization, because if it recognizes, this approach recognizes talent. Only the person who has highest skills, highest efficiencies, who is highly effective, will be given key position in the organization, irrespective of the country he or she belongs to. So that is geocentric approach. Talent is identified and ranked, and nationality is not an issue in talent identification for any post or job or role or position. That is what we mean by saying geocentric approach. Now regiocentric approach. Now here in this case, see, more emphasis is given on regions. Wherever the organization is working, only those place employees are being recruited. See, suppose if you are establishing an industry in Khammam, the employees who are willing to work in and around Khammam will be given chance first. Then outside employees will be given chance. So like that is regiocentric approach. Regions are emphasized and workforce is considered as region workforce that can be deployed within that region, irrespective of the nationality of the person in the region. Now you see, I mentioned this is Australia, Brazil, Canada. This is Brazil is there, Canada is there. Suppose Brazil, Canada. You are establishing industry in Canada, and you will give employment opportunity to the people who are staying in Canada first. That's because the regions are being given more importance than anything. Okay, workforce you are going to recruit from the localers only, recruit from local region only. That is regiocentric. So 4 approaches I hope you understood. Ethnocentric approach means all important positions will be held by parent countries. In any globalization dimension, you have 2 types of countries. One is parent country, another one is host country. Parent country is that country in which the management sits, the main boss of the organization sits. That is parent country. Host country refers to the various countries which are situated across the globe, where the business being organized by the parent country. Okay. So in ethnocentric approach, key positions are held by parent country personnel only, and not only top level but middle level also they will only take care. Only lower level employees will be recruited from host country. In polycentric approach, what happens? Initially, middle and lower level positions will be given to host countries. Then they will be slowly promoted to higher positions. So coming to geocentric approach, here talent is identified, cutting across country borders. Any person can be deployed anywhere. No country restrictions are imposed. Now in regiocentric approach, only majority preference will be given to localers only. If all the localers who are willing to work and who have talent, if they leave the organization, only then employees will be recruited from other sources. Okay. These are the 4 approaches in globalization and its impact on human resources. Okay. So now our first unit is completed, and I hope you understood the subject very well. Quickly, we will revise what we have learnt in this one. We have discussed definitions pertaining to human resource management. Human resource management, the term is a combination of human, resource and management, three words. It is the process of recruiting, selecting and motivating. All these things, they are related to human resources, managing human resources. See, in any organizations, 4 M's are there: men, money, material, machinery. In these 4 M's, whatever activities that are related to men, they pertain to human resources. So managing them is human resource management. And the combination of these 3 words we have discussed, HRM definitions we have discussed, and the process of human resource management we have discussed, and evaluation of HRM we have discussed, and strategic human resource management, what is SHRM, we have discussed in this unit. And there are 3 levels in any organization: strategic, managerial, operational. Okay, long term thinking, medium term thinking, short term thinking. And the differences between them we have identified. Benefits of strategic HRM we discussed. 7 steps we discussed. In strategic HRM, what are the challenges that we have discussed? And LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization, these concepts we have discussed, and we focused mainly on globalization. Okay, these are the challenges globalization threw on enterprises, on organizations. Okay, the role of globalization in HR policy and practice: 4 kinds of policies can be adopted by the organization depending upon the situation, depending upon the thinking nature of the boss. So thank you very much, dear students. I hope you understood the first unit very well.